I have a new variation for the post 40-year-old, and it is called a 4-2-1 variation. It is a weekly variation because most women, as they move through their 40s, our monthly cycle is so wackadoodle. Dr. Mindy here, and on this video, I am speaking directly to those women that are over 40 years old. If you've been following me here on my channel, you know that I strongly believe women should be fasting different than men, and each stage of our life actually requires some different variations. So on this video, I'm going to go through a brand new variation that I've never shared on YouTube here, that will help women over 40 use the principles of fasting to not only help her lose weight, not only get you thinking mentally clear again, not only give you amazing energy, but will not tank your sex hormones. So after 40, where our hormones are already going crazy, so we need some modifications to our fast. And if you're new to my channel, I just want to say welcome. I am on a mission this year in 2021 to get 1 million people living a fasting lifestyle. So please subscribe, join me on my live Q&As on Thursdays. And as always, if you love this video, share it out into the world. We are changing lives with one simple principle, and that's that your body was born to heal, and nothing will teach you how miraculous you are like fasting. Okay, women over 40. Whew, we have a lot that we need to talk about. So let's start with this. I want to I have this vision because when I hit 40, I felt like I was in the best shape of my life. And I was eating 6 meals a day. I loved breakfast. I was the person that carried my snacks around with me everywhere I went. I was eating really healthy. I thought that eating healthy food as often as you can equated to a healthy body. And what I learned is that as I moved into my 40s, that strategy around health no longer worked. And let me tell you why. At 40, what's happening is your ovaries are like, I'm done, I'm out. Like, I have given you eggs month after month after month, and I'm going to make a slow exit now. So as your ovaries start to wind down, it's not like it happens over the course of a month or even a year. It takes for most of us about 10, 15 years for our ovaries to start to undo this miraculous job they've been doing for so long. And so in that process, what is happening is they have to hand over the job of making stress hormones, specifically estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, have to hand that job over to your adrenal glands. Now, think about this for a moment. If you are a rushing woman, if you are type A, stressed out, if you are an over-exerciser, if you're already not getting sleep, if stress is already at its max, and now you decide to take on fasting, which produces a cortisol reaction temporarily, you are likely to tank your estrogen, your progesterone, and your testosterone, because your adrenals cannot handle the extra stress. So we've got to do this differently. So the first thing I want you to understand, and I know, I'm 51 and I still am in disbelief that, I'm in the middle, I'm almost at the other end of menopause. It's like I still feel like a 25-year-old in my brain, and I'm in disbelief that I have to adapt my lifestyle for menopause. In my brain, I was like, well, menopause is what my mother went through, not what I'm going through. But what I realize is that at 40, we have to change our lifestyle, and fasting is a key part of changing that. So I want to make sure you guys do it really effectively. Okay, so the first thing I want you to understand is your physiology. Know these hormones are, the ovaries are kicking out, but I also want you to realize that you're going to be more susceptible to stress now than ever before. What you used to get away with at 35, you can't get away with at 45. You are going to have more adverse reactions to stress than ever before. The second thing that I want to talk about before I go into what I consider one of the best variations for women over 40 is that it's really important that you know your hormones. And there's a couple of ways that you can understand where your hormones are at. First is if you are perimenopausal and you still have a cycle, the minute day one hits, I want you tracking your cycle. So even if your cycle is every 60 days, every 90 days, I want you to track that cycle so that you know when your body's trying to make progesterone. Progesterone is our anti-anxiety hormone. It is what calms us. It is also what will allow the uterine lining to shed so we can have a cycle. And what I'm hearing from a lot of women as they start to fast in their 40s is they lose their cycle. But they're just losing progesterone. So you need to know when you're supposed to get progesterone. And it's usually around day 20 of your cycle. So make sure you're tracking your cycle on something like a Clue app. The second thing, and this is for 50, 60, 70-year-old women that are watching this video, I highly recommend that all women get a hormone test. And my favorite is called the Dutch test. The Dutch test will allow you to see which hormones are in jeopardy. So if we get a Dutch test back and your toxic estrogen is really high, there's certain fasts I'm going to recommend that you lean into to manage that toxic estrogen. You might need to do more autophagy fasting. If your progesterone levels are really low, then we need to modify your fasting schedule according to how low that progesterone is. So this is why something like a Dutch hormone test is so incredibly helpful. If you want to know more about the Dutch test, just put Dutch test in the comments and my team will send you a link to that. So first thing is know your physiology. Second is know your hormones and where your hormonal profile is. And then the third one is really the meat of this video and something you can step into immediately. I have a new variation for the post-40-year-old, and it is called a 4-2-1 variation. It is a weekly variation because most women, as they move through their 40s, our monthly cycle is so wackadoodle that we don't know how to time it to the fasting circle. So I want to give you a weekly one. 4 days a week, you're not going to intermittent fast if you thought I was going to say that. You're going to do autophagy fasting. Autophagy fasting is 17 hours of fasting, and you break your fast with fat. And I did a ton of videos on this, and you want to make sure you keep your protein under 20 grams and your carbohydrates under 50 net carbs when you do eat. This style of fasting and eating is considered a detox, like a light detox. Toxins rear their ugly head as we move into menopause. So we need to lean into more autophagy fasting. So in my post-40-year-old variation, 4 days a week, you're going to do autophagy fasting. 2 days a week, you're going to do a very minimal amount of fasting. You're going to do 13 hours of fasting, and you're going to hormone build. So on these 2 days a week, you're trying to raise progesterone. So that the 4 days a week, you're trying to detoxify so that we can help with estrogen sensitivity, leptin sensitivity, many of the things I've taught here. 2 days a week, we're going to work on building progesterone. And you do that by 13 hours of fasting and then hormone building. We do not count macros on this day. We look at things like adding more of the squashes and the beans and the tropical fruits, citrus fruits. Grass-fed beef is great. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, these are progesterone building foods. I put a list of them in the Menopause Reset. So if you have a copy of the Menopause Reset, pull it out, look under the chapter that I say, Dear Progesterone, I'm sorry I took you for granted. It's my favorite chapter in the book. So if you don't have a copy of the Menopause Reset, it is out for pre-order right now. Just put Menopause Reset in the comments and we'll send you a link on how you can order it. So 2 days a week, we're going after progesterone. We're keeping our fast under 13 hours and we're leaning into hormone building foods. And then the last day, the 4-2-1. So the one, you're going to go do a 24-hour fast. Why is this important to the perimenopausal and postmenopausal woman? Is because we have to take exceptional care of our gut. We actually have bacteria in our gut that help us break estrogen down so that estrogen can get into our cells and can start to allow our cells to use it for energy and for functionality. So if you're having hot flashes, if your mucosal membranes are really dry, if you have brain fog, you're not sleeping well, these can all be signs that your estrogen is too low. So we've got to take amazing care of what we call our estrobolome, which is the bacteria that break estrogen down, and the 24-hour fast does that really well. So let me summarize that for you. 4 days a week autophagy fasting, 2 days a week of hormone building with 13 hours of fasting, and 1 day a week of a 24-hour fast. And the meal I would put with that one is a ketobiotic meal where you're keeping carbs under 50 grams and you're leaning into as many veggies as possible. Again, if you're new to these principles, go back and watch some of the videos I've done on women and fasting, because we believe strongly, I'm trying to teach this to so many people, that we need that fasting variation so that we don't get stuck with our results, we don't tank our sex hormones. And over 40, it's crazy. We have to do a lot of things different, and a fasting lifestyle is absolutely one of them. As always, you guys, let me know, is that helpful? What more information do you need to know? My heart goes out to the post-40-year-old woman, because our hormones going awry just really mess up so much about our health and our moods, and I really want to reach out and help you. So if you're stuck with these teachings, just put in the comments where you're getting stuck so I can make sure I do further videos for this. And as always, the new book, I would love for you to go order it, not only so you can get all the information in here. This is meant to be a book you pick up, you devour it in 2 days, and you can put it into action. I have steps after every chapter, just like I do here on YouTube. So if you want the menopause reset, just put menopause reset in the comments. And don't give up on yourself. You're a miracle, and you're even more of a miracle after 40, I promise.